Wednesday. You know what that means. New episode of the Sprint Ride Option Podcast. I am Andrew Pasquini, Jason Aponte. We are brought to you by the Blue Wire Hustle Network. Jason, it's been a week. It's been too long since I've seen your beautiful face. How are you doing on this lovely Wednesday?
Great. I mean, aside from the fact that everybody on the timeline is probably watching Kyle Trask right now, and for the people that are in here right now, thank you. We really appreciate that. But yeah, the timeline's tearing itself apart about Kyle Trask and the is it the Cotton Bowl? Is that what's going on right now?
It is the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic.
Cool, because that last bowl that I think it was Zach Wilson was in, that was like I think it was called the Cotton-Headed Ninny Muggins Bowl.
We had a Mayo Bowl earlier today.
Wait, Mayo like mayonnaise?
Yes. Let me find the official name. It was Wisconsin beats somebody. Dude. There's so many bowl games now, and I feel like it's extremely unnecessary. If my computer wants to load, Wisconsin beat. And I lost it. Wisconsin beat Wake Forest 42-28 in the Duke's Mayo Bowl today.
The Duke's Mayo. So is Duke the company?
Duke is a mayonnaise company. And what's funny is they were advertising yesterday about how they have the prettiest trophy in all of football, which it's a good looking trophy, right? Wisconsin was celebrating with it and dropped it, and it shattered into a million pieces. So they just took the base of the trophy because it's one of those like base trophies that has a base, and then the football on it was glass, and that fell off and broke. And so they just took some duct tape, grabbed a nice little bottle of Duke's mayonnaise, and stuck it on the trophy and taped it around and said, "This is the new trophy."
You're lying.
I'm not.
Oh, here it is. I told you. Extend Dante Johnson. I'm sorry. That's a crazy story.
Go look up the Duke's Mayo Trophy. Duke's Mayo Bowl Trophy. Yeah, Wisconsin dropped it while celebrating. And so now the trophy's just a mayonnaise. I mean, I don't think that's a better broken trophy story than when Rob Gronkowski had the Lombardi Trophy at Fenway Park and tried to bunt and just left a giant dent.
Yeah. I mean,
every time I think about that, I laugh.
Right. Even he looked like, oh my God, I dented it. Like, and that Gronk lives a life of no consequence.
Gronkowski definitely is one of those people who, like, in the back of his head, he knows like he's like, if I try and use this metal trophy to bunt a baseball that is hard, it's probably gonna dent it. But let's just see what happens anyways. And then he tries to make the look of his face like, oh no, what trophy dent? I don't know that. I didn't know that would happen, but he knew the whole time. He's like, yeah, I'm denting the Lombardi Trophy.
Right. Look at what Marco says. I love how the whole team stopped when it fell. Yeah, exactly. Like everybody was just waiting for Belichick to just bust in and yell at everybody.
No, that was from the video of the Wisconsin team. They were all like dancing around, partying together, and it's just like the ultimate party foul. When somebody spills their drink, everybody just stops. Mm-hmm. The trophy fell, shattered, and everybody just stopped and like looked at the ground like, oh no. and then they started asking like, hey, who gets paid the most out of all of us college athletes? Who gets paid the most so we could replace? Oh wait, they don't get paid.
They don't get paid.
Never mind. Listen, the NCAA can make money off of Duke's Mayo, but they can't pay the kids. Anyways, that's a conversation for maybe the off season. Who knows? Because we have a whole 6 months to talk about stuff that doesn't have to do with football when there's
the question that I have more than anything is how many companies make mayo? Like, I've never heard of Duke's. I just assumed it was whoever the heck makes the regular one in that big
jar with the blue and yellow label.
Right.
Yeah. Apparently there's at least two mayonnaise. I don't listen. I don't like to reference Zach's food takes on the podcast.
Oh man.
But mayonnaise is trash. And I just want to say just listen, I'll
thank you,
Kobe. How do you know more than two mayonnaise companies? Okay. I listen, we're talking about mayonnaise. We should be talking about the 49ers, but listen, let's talk about mayonnaise. No, so we're going to talk about a football game that happened on Saturday that feels like it was about 4 weeks ago, and I don't know why. Like, I just feel like this Niners Cardinal game happened so long ago that I feel like it just didn't happen this week.
You know what it is? It's there was a game Friday, there's a game Saturday, there's game Sunday, game Monday. So this entire weekend felt like, and like we were binging the NFL, right? Like we just continued to get game after game. So I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
And the other thing is too is like me, like I went away right? And when I was watching it, I kind of felt like I wasn't watching it fully and things like that, and like that feels like it was long ago. So it's like I'm sure that a lot of people over Christmas, were watching this game, just watching it, weren't as into it because of the circumstances, because of whatever it was that they were doing. And then I think it was all those games, man, in between. Like I feel like we played 2 weeks in between, pretty much, with all those games.
Yeah, I just feel like when my football brain can't handle if the Niners don't play on Sunday, it's like 7 weeks. Like if they played on Thursday and we were talking about a Thursday night game, I was just like, why are we even talking about this game? This game happened 4 months ago. Like, so when the Niners don't play on Sunday, it throws me off. And I want to start. I think the first point I want to make is I really feel like I need to make an apology.
Okay, an apology.
I need to open the podcast with an apology.
Okay.
And this kind of like segues kind of into their next game too, and we're not going to talk about that until Friday. Surprise, we have a Friday show. I need to apologize, and I'm going to look into the camera and say this. I need to apologize to Pete Carroll. I on this podcast during the 49ers Seahawks game, whatever week 9, whatever week it was, I floated the question of, is Pete Carroll the worst head coach in the NFC West? Because I don't know, that's just what I was feeling at that moment in time. And I got kind of roasted for it by you. And I think we had somebody on that kind of roasted me too, or the chat.
Was it? I think it was Croc. I think it was Croc when you said
maybe
that.
It was Croc.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So somebody else roasted me, and it probably was the chats. I'm used to being roasted this week, by the way. We'll probably dive into that. Boy, oh boy, Cliff Kingsbury is the worst head coach in the NFC West, and I don't even think it's close. So that was my segue to the 49er Cardinal game. Cliff Kingsbury does that thing that I do in Madden that I can get away with because Madden is a bad video game. That he finds 2 plays that work, and then he runs it every time. He just rotates between the 2 4th down plays and it's like, yeah, it's going to work every time. It was either a slant to DeAndre Hopkins, which is exactly what I do in Madden. Like that slants on like 3rd and 6, money every time. Or it was designed run with Kyler, which worked with plenty of success. The one play that really ended the game though was the 4th down slant call to DeAndre Hopkins that Fred Warner just kind of tricked Kyler into throwing. And I think the Niners went up 20, got their 20th point after that 4th down. It was 9:04 to go in the game, 4th and 2. Arizona was down 14-12, excuse me. Murray tried to hit DeAndre on the slant, and Fred kind of backed off into coverage, but he knew what he was doing. And he knew the slant was coming, batted it down. Jeff Wilson had the 34-yard run right after, and then Beathard hit Kyle Juszczyk, and that pretty much wrapped up the game 20-12. I know there's another play that happened after that, a certain interception, which I'm sure we're going to talk about. But yeah, Cliff Kingsbury, it's a trip. It's a trip. I'll say that.
Not good. And even with that, right, and this goes back to the preview, right, that we talked about, like, what's keeping this team afloat. Well, Kyler's banged up, man, and you know what? Even some guys can't overcome awful play calls and in the red zone, right? Like, I saw some of these red zone calls on these route combinations, like to the right, and he's just running like verticals into the end zone. Like what? Like what sort of play design is that? What are you trying to gain by having your receiver run right to the back of the end zone and hope that the ball gets there before? Like, I really, they had a deep pass, but that was a coverage bust. It wasn't, and everybody was going to blame whoever they were going to blame. I believe it was Witherspoon in coverage, but that was just a coverage bust and also a Kyler dime, but other than that, sometimes like when I watch his play designs and I'm trying to figure out the situations that he's running these things in, I just don't like, they're not even clear out routes for anybody to run anything under them on that side. They're just straight up like he's running 4 verts from like the 5. Like he's just like 4 verts, just go. Like I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I feel like if I was a Cardinal fan, I'd be very frustrated with Cliff Kingsbury. I'm not going to sit here and try and say like I'm an expert on the Cardinals. I know everything about them just from what I've seen with the 2 games against the Niners. And especially this game, like this is a game you have to win if you're Arizona, because I believe their playoff chances per 538 went from 69% to 38% with the loss.
That's not nice.
And no, that's not nice. You want to be on the nicer number there. And,
Right.
and I just felt like he kind of coached this game with like almost no urgency. Like he didn't have to win this game, which I guess you don't, because I don't even know. Like I stopped looking at the playoff machine the second the 49ers got eliminated. Let's be honest. I don't know what they need to make the playoffs in week 17, but like
They just need to win. They need winning help. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and so I just don't understand what he was really doing in that game. Like, you know, we were talking about the designed runs with Kyler. I feel like that really wasn't a thing. Like Kyler probably had a decent game on the ground. If I could find it, I could tell
runs. You. They weren't design runs. They were. So again, like we talked about it in a preview show, we brought it up. You know, these RPOs, most of the time he's throwing it. When he runs is when things get, you know, things are covered on the back end and he has to make something happen. Like Kyler's not actively looking to run, and that's not how they use him either.
So he had 8 rushes for 75 yards, and I feel like that's just for a team that like we talk about it ad nauseum of how bad the Niners are against mobile quarterbacks. I don't know. I feel like Kyler threw the ball 50 times. This is really the first time I've looked at the box score since Saturday. Kyler threw the ball 50 times. Which I feel like, oh my goodness. Yeah. So they threw the ball 50 times, ran it 26. That probably is what it was. The Niners really were able to pin their ears back on the pass, because there's no balance there. There's really no balance there. And if you I don't like to do this. If you put the Cardinals team on the 49ers, like I'll even take their terrible their defense. It's not great. The Niners are probably a playoff team with Kyle Shanahan and that team, you know? So like, it's just and I know you can't do that, right? You can't compare a bad coach. Cause like, if you put the Packers on Bill Belichick's team, they're probably, you know, stuff like that. You can't do that. But I just feel like Cliff Kingsbury doesn't necessarily help this team. I really think the best thing Cliff Kingsbury's done for the Cardinals is made them draft Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I mean, and also, answer the phone when Bill O'Brien's like, I want to trade DeAndre Hopkins to you. You know, I mean, that's it, really. Honestly, I mean, from there, like, I mean, it's so true. Like, we make jokes, and you don't really have to deep dive the Cardinals to see it, right? There's no reason that this offense, you know, with these weapons that they have, with the quarterback that they have, and this mind that Kingsbury's supposed to be, that this offense isn't supposed to be tearing things up. It's just not happening, and it hasn't been happening, man. You know, think about this, right? They went through that skid of games that they lost. If not for the Hail Murray, they lose that game too. You know, like Arizona's kind of just been, you know, they beat the Lions. You know, they got into a back and forth with Philly. Like, you know, I don't know, man. I just, you know, they are who they are at this point. You know, and I'm not trying to blame Kyler, because you guys know how much I love Kyler. I think it really is Kingsbury, and it's just, this offense should be moving so much better. I mean, everybody's kind of hit a lull now that we've gotten to the end of the season. People have information and things like that, but there's something about this offense that's out of whack. You know, when I was kind of deep diving onto what Kingsbury was doing that was repetitive or either redundant, it's like, dude, you have DeAndre Hopkins, right? He's the ultimate chess piece. Play him inside, play him outside, play him right side, play him left side. You keep him on the left, and you have him run these little comebacks, these little hook routes, the underneath routes. That's it. That's all you're doing. When you become that predictable, and you know DeAndre Hopkins is on one side, you know, and the thing that the 49ers did this week was they weren't playing 13 yards off of DeAndre Hopkins this time. Imagine that. You know, I mean, and also Jason Verrett played in this game, which he didn't play in the first week. So they were able to match up a little bit better. So, yeah, this offense, man, it's kind of head-scratching, because they should be doing more. And you just look at it, and it's like, you know how sometimes you and I say, man, maybe we could be coordinators? I don't know, man. Like, you know what? I would move DeAndre Hopkins around a little bit. I would try to do something. I would not put him on the left side the entire time. I will tell you that. Whether I succeed or not, I'm not going to get caught with, you just ran DeAndre Hopkins for 60 routes on the left-hand side. Like, makes no sense.
Yeah, and do you want me to pat the podcast on the back? You want to hear something smart we said last week?
Sure.
Remember how we were talking about the magic number being 400 yards?
Yep.
Arizona had 350 total yards. Niners held them under 400 total yards, and they won.
Boom.
I mean, if you look at these stats, Arizona won the time of possession by 5 minutes. They ran, do I see total plays? I don't see total plays. I'm not looking hard enough. I think Kobe mentioned it on the side there. They ran 25 more plays than the 49ers. There we go. So, like, Arizona really dominated this game in every sense of statistics, except for the yardage. And really, what Jason had to step away for a second there.
Right.
He's back. The big thing. The big thing I want to point out, and this will probably be majority of the conversation on this game, is you see how much more functional the 49ers offense is when they don't turn the ball over 4 times. Like, they don't need perfect CJ Beathard by no stretch of the imagination had a good, or not, I'm not going to say he didn't have a great game. He didn't blow anybody out. He had a good game. I'll leave it at that. But it's amazing how much better this offense looks, whether it's CJ Beathard at quarterback, whether it's Nick Mullins at quarterback, whether it's Kyle Juszczyk under center, stuff like that, when you don't turn the ball over, when you just plain and simple.
Right. And that's the thing. I'm glad that you brought that up about CJ, because if you notice, guys, did you see any deep shots this week? Man. Funny, right? Oh, CJ has the cannon. Oh, Kyle can't trust these quarterbacks. Are you listening now? That was the same exact game plan that he gave to Nick Mullins. What was different about it? The man probably threw for 13 air yards. Come on. Like, if this isn't the indication, I don't get it. Yes, exactly. Jet and the Wildcat equals no turnovers, 100%. Ryo's on it again. But no, seriously, I don't get that part about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
CJ's got the arm. Let's see what CJ's got. This is what CJ's got. If you turn the ball over 1 time, which is kind of fluky because it really wasn't supposed to be a turnover, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Pretty funny to me.
Yeah, and I think my favorite play from this game, like there's like 7 plays that pop up in my head. Obviously, the Juszczyk quarterback snake was pretty cool. Like, because now I think minimum 1 snap, he is a Pro Bowl quarterback now.
Juice.
Yeah, Juszczyk. He's played one. If you adjust it to just 1 snap, if you've had 1 snap on the season, like, he's a Pro Bowl quarterback. But Kyle Shanahan called 2 option runs with CJ Beathard at quarterback, and one went for, I think, 16 yards. One went for like 2, like it wasn't very successful. But like that's the kind of thing that when Kyle Shanahan starts feeling himself in terms of play calling and all that stuff, he's heating up. He starts running stuff like that, and it works. And like that play, like, it's just a microcosm of how successful Kyle Shanahan's system is when he can design a 16-yard run for a non-mobile quarterback because Jeff Wilson is just beating up the Cardinals' run defense.
Not mobile. Did you see those wheels? Are you kidding me? This fan base is clamoring for a mobile quarterback. You watch CJ Beathard take an RPO to the left and look like Colin Kaepernick, and you're telling me that he has no wheels? Come on.
So what you're saying is I need to adjust my depth chart. So CJ's the starter.
Rankings.
Yeah, CJ's my starter next year. Jameis 2nd string, and then Josh Rosen 3rd string. Right? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. Hey, we know who the QB1 is. Don't make me get into it all over again. But yeah, no, seriously. And you tapped into something right there, right? Like, those plays have all been there because those RPOs technically are there for Jimmy and Mullins, but clearly they're not going to take them. It's really just a play action show. They could, just pull the ball and go. That's not their game, but CJ was, and he ran it 2 times pretty successfully. So yeah, you're absolutely dead on with that one. You know what else they ran? Stop me if you heard this before. Did I see a bootleg get called?
Yeah. What?
Oh my God! Move the pocket and get an easy throw. Wait, what?
And do you know who that easy throw was to? I think we're talking about the same play, right?
Yeah.
Was it Kittle's first reception?
No, it wasn't, but it was one of his biggest ones.
Well, it was one of he had a reception on a bootleg.
He did. It was his 2nd reception. The first one was straight up route. This one, they ran that one. They ran it just like they ran it just like how McVay runs it. 3 levels. You turn, you look, you got 3 options. Richie James was a good shot. Yeah, he was kind of covered. The other shot, Ayuk didn't even turn yet, and we all found out that he was banged up in this game. I'm sorry, we have to talk about that too. And then boom, George Kittle's right there, and CJ Beathard literally just like walks it to him, and then he does the rest. Like, like I said, Shanistan, #Shanistan, only Shans, but man, I've been wondering where that bootleg's been, man.
It's crazy how much better the check down looks when you're checking down to George Kittle, huh?
Whew, man, aren't you? So look, How do you not get like super hype after you see George Kittle catch a pass?
Well, I said that on Kobe's podcast, right? Is listen, I know I got into some arguments last week on Twitter about Kittle playing. It's like, you tell Kittle he's not playing. Like, I dare you to tell George Kittle, a healthy George Kittle, he's not playing. And people are like, no, you got to keep him healthy. Got to keep him healthy. Well, first of all, guess who stayed healthy despite playing 40% of the snaps, whatever percentage it was?
28 snaps. Yeah. So yeah.
George Kittle stayed healthy. Second, I will personally drive to your house and take away all your 49ers memorabilia if you did not scream at the top of your lungs on that first George Kittle catch where he gets the first down, he does his Zero Muerto thing. And like that, like I was just in my room, just watching the game, and I was pumped up. Like, yo, Kittle is back. I love George Kittle.
I mean, talk about this, right? First play of the game, it was on a dead sprint, right? So George Kittle, goes in motion, and they run the pull into the hole, and he just lays out the first blocker. It sets the tone, man. And then the hole opens up, and it was gonna be that type of day. Jeff Wilson just ripped off 8 and 9 every single time he touched the ball. And that was just how it started, man. And it's a different feel. Guys play more. Guys are playing harder, right? Guys are trying to, are more juiced when he's on the field. It's like the Quan effect, except it's on offense, just because of how jazzed up they are. So, I mean, you saw it right away. And then you saw the plays that this team needed. Up the seam, large, good pass. That was probably CJ's best pass of the game. One of them was the one to him up the seam. 4 catches for 92 yards on 28 snaps. That's incredible, man. Like, think about that, right? Like, you could have had how much more if you'd have just played 22 more snaps, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and like, really what it breaks down to is the offense didn't turn the ball over. That's why they won this game. Like, just plain and simple. They didn't do anything crazy. They didn't do anything different. They didn't change anything up. They ran the same offense they have run since the stretch. I mean, pretty much all season, even with Garoppolo at quarterback. The difference is Beathard didn't turn the ball over. He had that one sack that probably is on the fumble. He had a fumble, which is probably on McGlinchey. McGlinchey didn't hold the block long enough. And McGlinchey's a conversation for another time, because I'm tired. I'm tired of the McGlinchey slander on the timeline. I am tired. Yep. I am tired of it. He is one of the, I'm not going to say he's a top end right tackle, but he's good enough to be a starter in the NFL. And for me, the right side is the block side, right? That's the strong side. That's the side you're running. Per PFF, Mike McGlinchey is the best run blocking right tackle in the NFL. He's allowed 5 sacks on the season. Yes, his pass protection can be better, but he is there to help run the ball.
He wasn't drafted for pass pro.
What?
He wasn't drafted for pass pro.
Exactly. And my big thing is, maybe he'd give up less sacks if you had a quarterback who could move the pocket. You think about that.
Or get the ball out on time, or see your check down. Like, there's so many things, right? Like, it's a give and take. We've talked about it. Look, over it one more time. When there's a sack, it's not as cut and dry as, it's just on the old lineman. It might be on the quarterback. It might be on the receiver. You don't know where guys are standing. If you have to hold that ball one more time, one more second, one more half a second, that's a lifetime in the NFL. So that's why I'm not with the whole, look, he gave up another sack. Well, let's look at it, everything, like where were the checkdowns? Where did the throw come out on time? What was the concept? Where were the reads? Like, those are all the things you have to talk about, right? You can't expect the right tackle to just continuously block and hold. It's the same thing about, nobody can cover down the field for 5-6 seconds. It just doesn't happen. It's the same thing with blocking.
Yeah, and like, if you look at ESPN's win, pass block win percentage stat, they set it at 2.5 seconds. 2.5 seconds isn't a very long time. I typically like to say 3 seconds is usually when I take the blame off of the offensive line. Like, if a guy blows by on the snap, that's obviously on the offensive line. But like I guess the play, for example, is Chase Young's first sack in the Washington game, where Chase Young dropped back into coverage and Mullins just stood there and was like, "Oh, Chase Young isn't a threat here," and just stood there and like waited. And then Chase Young blitzed, and it's like, that's not on the offensive line. That's Nick Mullins for not moving. Yeah. So like, yes, you could look at that play and say, yeah, Justin Skull like probably looked away or like committed too hard to not prevent Chase Young. But like, Nick Mullins had 4 seconds to throw the ball or move, and he opted to stand there. So listen, I understand wanting, like, I've said this. We need somebody to blame. If it's not going to be Kyle, you're not going to blame the quarterbacks because it's the backup. If you're not going to blame the quarterback because it's the backup, then you're going to blame the offensive line. There's just like a certain chain of blame. I think it starts with Garoppolo, and then if you can't blame Garoppolo, it goes down to Shanahan, and then it goes down to the quarterback, and then you realize you can't really blame a backup quarterback for things. So you got to. So like I'm tired of the McGlinchey slander on the timeline. He does what he is there to do. Right. He is there to be a run blocker. Could he be better in pass protection? Absolutely. But he is a top tier run blocker, and I will gladly take that. Now, if you put a quarterback who can move around a little bit, he's probably a little better in pass protection because you don't have a statue as quarterback. So that's my spiel that I didn't want to go into right now. So there you go.
That's just spiel 1 of like 3. So that's fine.
I know, right? This is just going to be a rant episode, to be honest. No, I'm joking.
People are going to love it.
Can I throw out a false narrative? Can I do what the Cavalier fans did in 2015?
All right, explain that one a little bit more, and then I'll let you know if you could throw the false narrative.
So in the 2015 finals, Cavalier fans were convinced that Matthew Dellavedova was going to shut down Stephen Curry, so they threw out the nickname Curry Stopper. And then Stephen Curry torched him. Probably should have won a Finals MVP.
Yeah,
but they deemed him the Curry Stopper for some reason, and then they complained like they were too hurt to beat the Warriors, even though they were telling me all week that Dellavedova was good. I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna throw it out there. Jason Verrett is the DeAndre Hopkins stopper. I'm just saying. I'm throwing it out there.
You know what, man? And you know, we talked about it, right? The game plan week 1, we were baffled, right? Like guys are like 12, 13 yards off of DeAndre Hopkins and just allowing him to just run, you know, to the sticks basically and just run a comeback and the ball's there on him, right? You know, Jason Verrett is the one press option that we have on this team that you can put on an island, and he did a masterful job, man. Even when the ball was by him, he still played through his hands. He still, you know, gave Hopkins a rough time, man. And if anybody is equipped to take care of DeAndre Hopkins on this roster, it is Jason Verrett, and he wasn't available in week 1. Like people forget that. So, you know, remember, like, you know, all off season we were like, man, we're not getting anything from Jason Verrett, and then we took, you know, fast forward to week 16. You know, he is what he is, and then, you know, you're calling him the, you know, the Hopkins stopper. So I mean, look, Jason Verrett is the top 3 priority on this team to bring back, man. I believe, you know, the flexibility that he gives with the play calling, and whoever's going to be the new DC in here is going to be invaluable, you know. So, yeah, man, absolutely right, man. I mean, for this game, I was super impressed with him, man. He just, you know, and every week you are, you know, he gives up his little double move sometimes because sometimes he's a little bit, you know, too aggressive, but that's because he understands what he's seeing, right? Like he's good at jumping routes. But for the most part, man, Verrett's been just like lights out on anybody, man. And to see him do this, you know, after week 1, seeing what Hopkins did to the secondary, it just shows you, you know, how this secondary, even without Richard Sherman this week, was probably more improved just because of Jason Verrett's, you know, presence.
Yeah, Verrett targeted 11 times, allowed 6 completions, 33 yards. I believe I saw somewhere that the longest reception he allowed to DeAndre Hopkins was 9 yards. He had an insane game. He balled out. Akello Witherspoon. You want to talk about Akello Witherspoon again?
Oh, I do, man. I really do, man.
10 times, targeted 10 times, allowed 7 completions, 65 yards allowed. A 47.9 quarterback rating against because of this game sealing interception, which drops that ratio or that rating.
Yeah, I'm sorry. How many yards were gained on one throw?
Oh yeah, that beautiful dime pass, right? In the first strike. Let me see if I can find it.
He was in great position. Like he was in great position, and the ball was there was literally nothing. See, that's what I'm talking about deep ball, right? Good coverage, better throw, makes the catch. That wasn't on Spoon. Spoon was exactly where he needed to be. There's nothing you could do with a Kyler dime. And Marcel Harris, you blew your coverage. You're supposed to be over the top helping. Like there was no reason for Christian Kirk to be running down the field. So you said he gave up 65 yards. About 50 of them came on one throw.
38. It was a 38-yard completion. So still, like I think that's what 27 yards.
Yeah, and then
27 yards not on that play.
And then that interception, man. Like all we had talked about is that Spoon is always in the right position, always just at the last moment he can't get to the ball. And it's funny because I just watched last year's Week 17 against Seattle, right? And you know how everybody was like, oh, he needs to be benched and everything. Well, people wanted him benched because he gave up 2 touchdowns in that game, right? The one to Tyler Lockett where he was in perfect position and the ball just like slid by him. He didn't see it. And then another time when he wasn't looking, DK Metcalf, the ball got thrown up and this giant man jumped up and caught it. In that game, nobody brings up the pass breakup over the middle. Nobody breaks up the pass breakup that he had on the sideline. So it's weird, right? you get caught up, and even me myself, right? Like I only noticed that again when I watched the game over. So this interception was literally all of this coming together, and then him trying to, like him turning his body at that last moment to make that interception. First of all, it was a poor throw. Let's just put it out there too. Poor throw, Kyler Murray. It's not the ball you were supposed to throw right there. I don't get those red zone interceptions are killing me. I mean, not killing me, but I just don't understand where you are right now with those. But for him to turn and make that interception, man, that was the highlight of the game, man. I am happy for this kid to be playing so well. People go in the Kyle's doghouse, and like I said, they're Ozzie Smith and the Simpsons. They're floating, and they're not getting out. He not only got out of the doghouse, he's gotten out and played well, man, when pressed into duty. And they've asked him to just be a man guy. I'm really happy for Spoon, man. I hope that wasn't too much of a spiel.
Yeah, it's really gotten to a point with Witherspoon of like he's just kind of going to be the exiled one from the secondary to like now maybe he fits in the 2021 plans at some point, So really, really good stretch from Witherspoon. And I mean, this is why I am so anti-tank, right? Like I'm so I hope the team loses. Like Ahkello Witherspoon doesn't care if the 49ers lose because there's a chance he's not on the 49ers. He is out there trying to prove something. He's trying to show that he is an NFL caliber an NFL starting caliber cornerback. And that's what he's done the last 2 weeks. Do you think he cares what the 49ers draft pick is next year? Like that's why it's so hard for me to be like, yeah, I hope they lose these games for draft position. Like, no, I want to see these individuals succeed. I want to see guys like Kerry Hyder earn a paycheck somewhere, hopeful, preferably San Francisco, right? Like I hope it's San Francisco, but like these are individual players that make the team. And at some point you got to focus on those guys. And Ahkello Witherspoon the last 2 weeks, man, he's playing himself into a contract, whether it's San Francisco or Cleveland or wherever it may be, Right. Ahkello Witherspoon's balling.
And if you need more clarification on the tanking thing, I just look up JJ Watt's last press conference.
Yep.
That's it. And I don't want to talk about it anymore because we've already talked about it on this show. And this is a job. This isn't, let me help this team with poor play then you're cut. So we already talked about this. So yeah, absolutely, man. But
do you think at any point on Friday we're going to talk about how we hope the Seahawks win so the Niners can move up 3 picks?
Nah. Seattle week. I'm so dashed right now. It's Seattle week. I'm not playing. I don't care about that, man. I really don't, man.
Listen, me, if Chicago wins on Sunday, I'm going to be happy knowing the 49ers had a hand in knocking a division rival out of the playoffs.
Right. Did you hear what George Kittle said after the game?
No, about how he's a Bears fan.
Right, and he's like, we got the win. It was nice to, play spoiler. And he goes, and if it helped the Bears, he goes, I love the Bears as a kid. And then he walked away, and he's like, the Bears, like, yeah. I miss that guy. I miss you, buddy. I miss you,
George. If you're watching, we would love to have you on the podcast one day.
And totally, if you want us on Hidden Pearls, it's no problem, man. Too,
we'll really do anything. So it was nice seeing George Kittle back. Like I guess that's the segue to that is. We talked about how many snaps he played. His impact, though, man. Like, let me see if I could. Did you say 28 snaps? Was that the number we agreed on?
28 snaps, yeah, 28. So, I mean, the impact. You saw it in run blocking. You saw it immediately, and then you see it in those plays where those throws are to him. He's the first read. Those are those type of throws. Like the impact was seen right away. The run game looked like the run game. You know what's funny? Here's a question. Why is it that the last 3 times that the 49ers have played Arizona, including 2 times last year, they haven't been able to run the ball worth a damn? All of a sudden now, George Kittle comes back after a week. You get Wilson going. You get Mostert there. The Cardinals do a great job of setting the edge, right? They play wide enough where it's very hard to run the outside zone. So what do? You kick them out of there, and you send George Kittle in motion at full speed so he can take out he can take out defensive ends and edge rushers and open up those lanes. Like they haven't been able to run the ball 3 straight games against Arizona. All of a sudden, George Kittle's back healthy, and all of a sudden in Arizona, they're out there doing that. Come on, man. Like that's the impact.
Yeah, George Kittle led the team in targets with 5. He had 4 receptions, 92 yards on his 28 snaps. All 4 of his receptions led to first downs. He led the team in yards. He 118.7 quarterback rating when he threw at him. Like, man, like he does. Like if he wants to play, man, go cheer for him because he's just such a spark plug. He's so fun to watch.
Here, let's put a cap on the Kittle thing.
Yes.
Did you see what Mike Gesicki did last week?
Mike is
Mike
in the Raider game or
or in their last game, whoever they were. That was the Raider game, right?
I don't think I saw exactly what he did. No.
Okay, Mike Gesicki gets a first down.
Oh, did he? Did he hit the Zero Muerto?
He did, and he tagged Kittle like, "I'm sorry, bro, I was just feeling it after the first down." There you go. Let's put. There are other tight ends in this league.
That's what I'm watching right now.
That's it.
I'm watching All Elite Wrestling right now. Well, before I was watching it before we started, and that's where that's.
Did you know that?
What?
You said you were gonna cry though.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
All right, you did.
Yeah, I definitely I got that out of the way before we got on. Yeah, no. So. Yeah, we'll put a cap on the George Kittle thing because I could talk about George Kittle for probably an entire show. We'll probably end up doing that in the offseason at some point because we got to come up with plans for shows. Is there any 49ers name we haven't said? Ooh, I got one, Fred Warner. I said it already, but we haven't really talked about it. 14 tackles. He had, as I said, he had the forced fumble and the fumble recovery. He forced that fumble and recovered it within like 2 seconds. I don't think I can be that quick. He had the game. I'm going to call it the game-winning pass deflection. I know, obviously, Akello's interception sealed the game, but that pass deflection, I already talked about it. For him to recognize that they were going to go to that slant route, as they did all game, and he just kind of played. He played Kyler. He made Kyler think he was stepping back, and he just walked into the passing lane. And that was pretty much the game because 2 plays later, the 49ers take that 20-12 lead. So to me, that's probably the game-winning play because I don't like to assume the 2-point conversion because even if Arizona, because the big thing about the Ahkello Witherspoon interception was Arizona was threatening to get a chance to tie the game with that 2-point conversion, and Ahkello put it away. So yeah, like Fred Warner's up there, Dre Greenlaw, right? Like he's continuing to do the thing where he's just all over the place.
Dre, Fred, I was so impressed when Fred, went and covered that wide receiver over the middle straight in a straight dead run, and he was there like at the end. Like that stuff is incredible for me. Like linebackers aren't supposed to do that. Greenlaw, like you said, he's everywhere, man. Tavares Moore, man. So we see these games from him where we're like, God, where were you? You blew your coverage there. This week, he was all over the place. Like he was making tackles. He was closing gaps fast. He played well this year at this game. Marcel Harris had a decent game, aside from that one big coverage bust. He was all over the place. This defense came every week. We say it. The defense comes to play. They're not giving up points because they're a bad defense. They're giving up points because you're turning the ball over on the other side of the field, and points are going to happen that way. And that's just what it is, man. Like this entire defense was great this week, man. Kerry Hyder, gets a sack, man. We continue to talk about him. No Kinlaw this week, which stinks, right? And and then I guess the only other downside too, besides Kinlaw, is that Ayuk winds up hurting himself in this game, and he's done for the year, holding him short of the Jerry Rice rookie record, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I did the math. If you take his 64 yards per game, that comes out to about 1,000 over 16-game season. So like he was on pace, and obviously he dealt with the injury. I mean, if he plays a full 16, like it's an 1,000-yard season, guaranteed, almost
guaranteed. That's the thing, So I mean, I'm disappointed for the kid, but they said that name of what his injury was, and I'm not going to say it on here. But it got another one of our guys, man.
Yeah, and another name we haven't really talked about is Jeff Wilson Jr.
All right. Well, I mean, do you want to just? I mean, we're at 40 minutes. You want to do 3 stars?
We can do 3, and this might be one of the times where we have 5 different names on.
Yeah, no, this one I don't think. Yeah, Jeff Wilson's at the top, right? I think you and I both agree, right? Like he's incredible, man.
Yeah, I'm curious to see who your other 2 are, but I'm gonna go number 3, Fred Warner. Mm-hmm. Just the 14 tackles, and as I said, that pass deflection. That's why the middle linebacker is the quarterback of the defense, right? Like he pays it. He sees it coming. He knows what's coming before it happens. And for him to step into the lane like that easily could have been a pick 6, right? Like if he's a second quicker, that's a pick 6. So Fred Warner, it's hard for me not to give it to him every week, but this week I feel like he really earned it, especially with the 14 tackles.
Yeah, man, and I'm gonna do another linebacker, Dre Greenlaw, man. Short tackling, man. He's all over the place again. Still, some things to clean up, but he's still, you understand where this front office was going when they made the Quan move, right? you know, unload that contract, but you don't unload that contract unless you have someone that you're confident in that could step in. And Drake Greenlaw continues to improve, just needs those reps, man. And he was everywhere in this game. And I love watching him play football, and I love watching him sideline to sideline. He's such a short tackler, man. Like he you know, and it's not flashy, right? Like I think it's a little overstated how well he tackles. He just tackles very well technically, and you're surprised that somebody doesn't broken tackles aren't happening on him. So, but Drake Greenlaw's incredible, man. He's my third star.
My second star really is a coin flip, and I feel really bad for leaving the other one out, but I think you're going to pick up the other one.
I am.
I'm going to go CJ Beathard.
Really?
I'm going to go CJ Beathard. Listen, we preach on this show, don't turn the ball over. The offense can't turn the ball over. He comes in, his first start in got, you know, however long it's been. He comes in, he turns the ball over once, 3 touchdown passes, 182 yards. He had maybe one bad throw all game, and that was the throw right before the first half ended that probably should have been intercepted and returned for a touchdown. That little flat pass to McKinnon. And yes, Fred won Defensive Player of the Week. I totally forgot. Should probably mention that. He had one of those games that I was like for me, if you have a game where I'm like, I need to look some stuff up, you probably deserve a player of the game award. He became the 8th different quarterback in 49er franchise history to have a game in which he threw for under 200 yards, had 3 or more touchdowns and no interceptions. The 49ers in franchise history are 13-0 in those games. And one of those games, Jeff Garcia did it, right? One of those, Jeff Garcia's game was the Terrell Owens star game, which I find is super funny because we were just talking about it.
Right.
So I'm just going to go CJ Beathard too, especially with like this, you know, everything going around with being around the 1-year anniversary of his brother's death and all this, cool. All this stuff. I just want to put Beathard up there mainly because we have been preaching. The Niners need a quarterback who doesn't turn the ball over. And I don't think it's a coincidence that he had 1 turnover in the 49ers win a football game. So right. CJ Beathard's my second star.
No, that's a good call about his brother too. You could tell at the press conference that's, you know, that was weighing on his mind, man. So you know what? I'm really happy for him to get that win, man. You know, it's things like that, you know, keep guys going sometimes, you know, when things get rough, man. So yeah, good for him, man. That's a good call at number 2. I'm going to cheat and I'm going to pick both cornerbacks.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm picking both of them, man. I don't want to leave either out, man. You know, we talked about Verrett and what he did with Hopkins, but like, I'm just so excited for Spoon, man. I hope that, you know, this team gives him a shot, something like, you know, a prove it deal, something like that, you know, or he gets a shot somewhere else, you know, whatever that is. I'm not going to try to predict, but I just think that, you know, the kid sometimes has to work through confidence issues. It's not a technical thing. It's not a physical thing. It's a mental thing, right? So that's really what it is. It's like when he starts making bad plays, he goes in the tank. You know, he gives up that touchdown to Stephon Diggs. He gets pulled in the playoffs, right? You know, in Seattle, week 17, gave up 2 touchdowns, gets pulled for Mosley, right? You know, those are things that can, you know, some people are able to brush that off and just say, hey, that's a bad game, whatever. Some people, they go in the tank. And, so, you know, most people, when they go in the tank, they never get out. He's showing that he's at least going to get out of it at least a little bit, and he's still showing that there's something there. So I will say, and then, you know what? This is a great point.
Yeah, so I was literally just going to mention it.
Jeez, man, K'Wan Williams. I read that he got carted off, and I was just like, oh, well, here we go. Great. You know, then I look on the screen again, and he's sacking the quarterback. And I was like, what? I was like, where did you come from? Did you just pull a Paul Pierce? Did you go off and you get carted and you just like, I'm out? You know, like, so all 3 cornerbacks, right? We should rephrase that. Thank you, General, for pointing that out. Absolutely. All 3 cornerbacks.
K'Wan Williams probably didn't have to poop, though. He was actually hurt.
No, he actually looked like he was hurt. Good.
Yeah, he actually looked like he was hurt. So no Paul Pierce comparison here.
Okay.
Jeff Wilson Jr. star number 1, 22 carries, 183 yards. He was 1 yard short of a rushing touchdown. It would have been 22 for 184 and a touchdown. He did have a receiving touchdown, and it was that Texas route that the Cardinals probably love at this point. Exact same play that beat them last year. Just what a game from Jeff Wilson. And Jeff Wilson's really showing that he has running back 1 potential. I don't think he needs to be. I really think the Niners running back situation, they're really playing with the bankers' money to a point where they could just rotate between Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. and be fine. I think if you're asking, like I feel like they offer different things, right? I feel like Mostert definitely has that big playability that Wilson lacks. But if if I needed 8 yards, if I had a 3rd and 8, right, and for some reason I'm like, I'm going to run this ball, which 3rd and 8, you're not running the ball, right? But if I say it's 3rd and 8, we're going to run the ball, I would give the ball to Jeff Wilson over Raheem Mostert because I feel fairly confident that Jeff Wilson Jr. can more consistently get 8 yards on a carry than Raheem Mostert can. So I really think the running back position is probably one of the few positions on the 49ers that doesn't really need to be touched unless you can get a luxury pick in the second round. I'm talking Najee Harris. I'm talking Travis Etienne. But even then, I doubt they'll go running back. I'm just saying, like, if any of those players are available, that's the only time I'd be like, hey, you should add a running back here just because it makes sense. But really, running back's the one position I think the 49ers don't have to worry about really next year.
Right. So I did some deep diving, right, on this, right? So this is going to be a conversation all offseason, right? Jeff Wilson Jr. and Mostert, right? And I feel confident saying that I want both of them on the roster, right? Both of them need to split the load. Both of them need to be both of them are capable, right? Mm-hmm. But I want to run down some stats for you real quick.
Okay.
106 attempts, 524 yards, 29 first downs, 279 yards before contact, 2.6 yards yards before contact per attempt. 245 yards after contact, 9 broken tackles, 11 per broken tackle, 11 carries per. That's Jeff Wilson.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just him. Mostert, 104, 521, 22 first downs, 346 yards before contact, 3.3 yards before contact per attempt, and yards after contact, 175 with a 1.7 per attempt, 5 broken tackles, and 20 attempts per broken tackle. So what does that tell you? For me, it tells me this. Mostert is the one not being touched, but further down the field. Why? They run those outside zones, right?
Yeah. Wilson
is the one being touched closer to the line, but getting more yards after the contact. So what does that tell you? This is easy, right? Like, you can just see, look, you got a guy who is between the tackles, and you got a guy who's a home run hitter. These guys need to be playing this role next year, and these numbers are completely indicative of that.
Mm-hmm.
One is better before they get touched. One is better after they get touched, and I really don't think we know. If I would have told you the two running backs that played in this game, would have played in this game, one of them likes to be touched, one of them doesn't, you would have known exactly who I was talking about because Jeff Wilson's a maniac, and Raheem Mostert's the Ferrari that just needs a little bit of juice.
As I said on the Washington football team preview episode,
yes,
the only running back that I wouldn't want to tackle more than Jeff Wilson is Derek Henry. Who's Derek Williams? Derek Henry.
Basketball player?
Maybe. Like he is such a physical runner, and he doesn't look like a physical runner because he's a pretty small dude. He's not the bulkiest guy, but he runs through would-be tackles like he is a fullback. He is such a hard tackle to make, and it I talk how much I like the 49ers run game. It is such a good running attack, and Kyle Shanahan really can make it work with really whoever he has back there. It just really helps when you have guys like Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson to do so. So the run game is set. The run game for 2021 set. It really comes into how you fill out the rest of the offense. And obviously, we're going to have 4 months of talking about what the quarterback position is going to be. We don't need to do that right now.
Nope.
So that's really Jeff Wilson, star number 1. Do you have anything else you'd like to say before we wrap this up, or not wrap the podcast up, wrap the game, put it in a nice little bow, and I would say put it under the Christmas tree, but the Christmas tree is not.
No, man, what a fun game, right? Like to play spoiler and be in their house and stop them. Like, Come on, man. Don't act like no matter how bad you guys want to move up for draft position, don't act like you didn't feel good sticking into the Cardinals and playing spoiler. And if you know what, this is so indicative of how crazy this season is for the 49ers. The 49ers are 6-9, nice, but they have the best record in the division.
Yeah.
How? And they lost to Arizona. The only game that I could say that they outright lost was the Seattle game.
Yep.
It's crazy to me.
They have more wins in the NFC West than they did in the NFC East.
Unbelievable.
Like,
unreal.
Think about that.
Unreal. And all you have to do is turn the ball over 2 times less. Not 4, cut it to 2. That's it. We weren't even asking you we're not even saying go from 4 to 0. Just go from 4 to 2 and then we'll work from there.
Yeah, I don't want to talk. Like I'm really happy the season's ending. I'm gonna be honest. I'm tired of talking about turnovers and the quarterback. Like we have fun episodes planned. We have very fun episodes planned for you guys in the off season. So we're gonna clean up some news from today. So start throwing your questions in. Let's do it. Oh goodness, somebody mentioned.
All right, talk about it. Go into that first. So
Okay.
wait, before Andrew gets into this, I wanna preface this by saying, to the people out there on Twitter who take this game far too serious, right? I understand being passionate, far too serious. Please pay attention to what you're yelling at. When someone posts something that someone else wrote, someone else published, and then says he doesn't hate it, make sure that you understand that you should start yelling at the person who actually wrote it and not the person that kind of agrees with it. Go, Andrew.
Yeah. So I'm trying to find the exact day oh my God, was this only yesterday? No, it was Monday. It's definitely Monday. I was working from home on Monday. Kyle Krabs of the Pro Football Network, or excuse me, the Draft Network, did a mock draft, and it's fun to read these mock drafts at these points. And the second pick in the draft was Zach Wilson to the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners traded up for Zach Wilson, and they traded their 2021 first and second round picks, their 2022 first, second, and third round picks, and their 2023 third round picks. All I did was screenshot it, and I said, I don't hate this. I didn't necessarily agree with it. I said I agreed with it. I just said I don't hate it.
He kind of agreed with it. Kind of. That's what I don't hate this means.
Yeah, and boy, oh boy, did I get roasted. I'm actually kind of happy because I've never been ratioed in my life, and I felt like I made it. The one thing I want to say is, in order for trades to work, a team has to agree to it. And the number one response I had was, why don't you trade that package for Deshaun Watson? The Texans aren't trading Deshaun Watson. Let's be honest. The Niners are going to have to figure out a quarterback somewhere else. Deshaun Watson's not on the board. My thing is, and I really feel like we value first round picks. I mean, just picks in general, way too high, right? My thing is if let's just say hypothetically, and I know this probably won't happen, is if Zach Wilson becomes the 49ers quarterback in this hypothetical situation where they trade their first round pick next year, and the Niners, let's just say they make the Super Bowl. Let's not even say they make the Super Bowl. Let's say they make the NFC Championship game. That first round pick is a 28th, 29th, 30th, or 32nd pick. What are you doing with that pick? That's pretty much a second round pick. I would much rather get a guy who I feel like can help lead this team to the Super Bowl, which I'm not necessarily saying Zach Wilson's that guy. If the Niners think Zach Wilson's that guy to a point where they're offering 6 draft picks, you do it. You do it plain and simple. Jason, I got a question.
Sure.
Do you know who the Patriots drafted with the second round pick they got for Jimmy Garoppolo? Off the top of your head.
N'Keal Harry?
No, that was a first round pick.
He's a first round pick. No, good question.
Let me find out, because I don't think I know it off the top of my head. And this is kind of proving the point, right? Like, maybe trading a second round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo was a mistake. Maybe it wasn't. I'm trying to remember what draft this was. Maybe it was it was the 2018 draft, right?
Yeah, they received the second round pick. That's a good question. Was it 2018?
Or 27? It was one of the years. My point being, it probably, I haven't heard Niner fans say a name in a while. I'm trying to see if New England even had a second round pick.
Oh, here we go. Do you want okay. Here are the players acquired as a direct result of the pick acquired for the Garoppolo deal.
Yes, let's do it.
You ready?
Yes.
Duke Dawson Jr. doesn't even play.
Yep.
Christian Sam doesn't even play.
Okay.
Joe Juan Williams doesn't even play. Damian Harris plays. Yep. Running back. Yadni Kajuste, offensive tackle. Jarrett Stidham, Dalton Keene, Justin Heron. Yep. So, guys, I think the moral of the story is this. And this is what else, too. This is the other thing, right? Even when we go back to the Carson Wentz thing, and now with hindsight, now we can look back at the Carson Wentz thing and said they gave up too much. If in fact his days are numbered, but the Browns didn't get anybody from that either. Draft picks are still a crapshoot. Okay, playing it safe only gets you to a certain point. Swinging for the fences is what's going to change this, right? And if
Mhm.
Kyle identifies his guy and feels so strongly about it, I ride with coach. The thing is this. If that doesn't work and he's not the guy, then we'll go in on coach and we'll go in on Lynch. Like, that's the way you have to play it. In my eyes, I trust Kyle and I trust him to identify a guy and to be able to develop him. But if either way he identifies a quarterback and it doesn't work, or if he runs it back with Jimmy and it doesn't work, coach, I'm coming at you and I'm coming for you unless there's some circumstances that have nothing to do with that. So, I mean, that's the thing, guys. Draft picks are cool and all, and it sounds good. And I know, everybody's talking about 40 free agents. First of all, one, we don't know what the salary cap is. There's even rumors that the salary cap is going to stay exactly where it's at because of the Amazon deal, right? That's out there. That's possible. That changes the way that we go at all of these people. Even the Robbie Gold thing, right? I'm not going to get into why I hate it, but it does save the money. It saves money for the team, right? Down the line. You're kicking the can down the line, right? So again, guys, draft picks, salary cap, save it. You guys don't really know how this really works intricately. And the draft picks, those aren't hit. It's not about where you pick. It's about who you pick and who you get, right? So, like, that's the thing. Like, don't get so wrapped up on, oh, you give away too many draft picks. Sometimes all those guys end up being bums. And ask the Patriots about that Garoppolo deal.
Yeah, and like I don't understand the valuing of draft picks so much. Like it's really like that Family Guy skit, the one where it's like, you could have a new car or you can have what's behind door number one. If you know you're getting a new car, I think Peter goes, I'm going to pick the door because there might be a new car.
The mystery box in the boat. He's like,
it's a boat or a mystery box. And he's like, well, I'm going to pick the mystery box because like a new boat can be in the box, right? It's like, if the Niners feel Zach, well, like I'm genuinely curious, like what price would you be comfortable paying? Not you, but like just the collective you. What price would you be comfortable paying to trade up to get the second pick, right? I don't necessarily think I just don't necessarily think that that's too high. Maybe if you remove like a pick or two, from it, maybe if you get rid of the third round pick in 2022 and 2023, I'd feel a little more comfortable. But then you're skirting into the area of why would the Jets accept? You got to throw something out there. And yes, if you're trading up all the way to number 2, you're going to have to overpay. Plain and simple.
The other thing is too, it's December. This is based off of, we don't even know where this team's going to be picking from, right? And things become more clear as you get closer to the draft because of free agency, because things come out, because needs pop up, because guys retire, guys, never want to play again, to get hurt, things like that. You have to wait. So the idea that you have to jump up, you don't even know how many spots you have to jump up. So you don't even know what it really costs. That's why this exercise is trivial. And for people to get so upset is even more dumb, because right now in December, in April, we're going to look at the mock drafts and how the board falls and look at those December mock drafts and say, wow, what a bunch of idiots. They didn't get it right. Also, I was on a show with Akash, and he's absolutely right about this too. The media tells you who's the pick. Once they start pressing a guy up, all of a sudden, a guy who was never on the board is all of a sudden head and shoulders way further. Wait, just wait, man. Look, I think the point was good about what should the 49ers do if they want to, entertain the idea of going up to 2, but they get upset about something that, 1, is probably not going to happen, 2, has no bearing because it's already December. It's just stupid, like I just don't understand why it would make people so upset.
And my other thing is too, is like, there's like, you said it perfectly. Like, and there's 4 months before the draft. You know what could happen in March? In March, the 49ers can announce Jimmy Garoppolo as the starting quarterback, right? Which I guess that wouldn't hold too much weight, right? Because you still have the draft. But you know what else could happen in March? The 49ers could trade for Matt Stafford. Guess what would happen? They probably aren't trading up to number 2 for a quarterback. They could sign, let's say hypothetically, Dak Prescott becomes available. They could sign Dak Prescott. They're probably not trading up to get a quarterback in the first round. Like, all draft picks are all mock drafts are hypothetical situations. That's all they are. You could take them as like a fact if you want, but there are so many mock drafts, man. All I do is really use it to see like, okay, I don't know. I'm going to just throw a random name out there. I have Kyle Trask. That's just the name I'm choosing. I have Kyle Trask as the top 10 pick, right? I'm going to go look at these other mock drafts and see what other people think about Kyle Trask being, nobody has Kyle Trask in the top 10. Maybe I need to go back and look at what Kyle Trask actually is. Maybe I'm seeing something wrong. So like don't like mock drafts shouldn't be taken as like matter of fact things, right?
No.
Mock draft should be taken as just hypotheticals, people just kind of throwing out what their theories are. So don't get mad at mock drafts, please. Like if I post a picture, I'm going to post pictures of mock drafts all the way up until April. It's not me it's not anybody endorsing anything. It's just like, here's something to think about. Here is something to think about. And that's really all it is. I'm not endorsing anything at this point.
Right. And the reason that if I sound a little worked up is because you have to see some of these replies on here. They're just awful. Like people say some really bad things, man. Like, and again, all over a hypothetical. So if I sound a little riled up, it's because people are riled up over the stupidest thing, and I can't wrap my head around it.
That's what Twitter is, man. I'm used to it at this point. I'm getting more and more of a taste of like what everything is on 49ers Twitter, because this is really the first year I've been involved with 49ers Twitter. It's a
ratio before.
It's a wild.
Once you've been ratioed, you can't be hurt anymore. Once it happens once, you've seen it, you know what's going on. That's it. You know, I posted a Jimmy G clip. It wasn't a flattering clip, and I got ratioed. Even though I didn't miss the read, you know, like even though I didn't throw the ball to the wrong guy, you know, I got ratioed. But once after that happens, you mute that conversation, you move on. That's it. You've been ratioed. It happens. It happens to everybody. Come on, man.
So we have 4 months of draft talk, so we'll obviously dive into it. We're already at an hour, so I think we're probably just going to hold off on questions unless you saw something you really wanted to address.
No, I think we talked about it all, and since we're at an hour, it's going to keep me away from talking about kickers, so I love it. Let's close out the show, buddy.
So yeah, I guess we'll talk about that just in sense of news. We don't need to add anything. The 49ers moved money around. They extended Robbie Gould. They gave him a 2-year deal. His cap number, like just look at the base of it. His cap number in 2020 or 2020 this year was 5.1. The average annual value of his contract's like 2.75. So they're saving money there. And I listen, this is why I think the 49ers, that list of 41 free agents, I'm not losing sleep over it, because I think players are going to take deals like this. Like Kyle Juszczyk's another player that I could see taking less money to play with the 49ers. Sort of things where they're going to be able to cut corners and save a little bit money here and there. Now they have an extra $2 million to play with. That could be, you know, it could hypothetically be maybe Kerry Hyder. You know, Kerry Hyder's probably going to get way more than $2 million, but just throwing names out there.
No, but the thing is, there'll be extra money because 1, the salary cap will stay the same, and 2, when you move all this money around, which is why I don't play GM with the salary cap, because I have no idea how that works as far as like all that. I don't even try. Like I'm like, when people ask me, I'm just like, look, you know, this is as much as I know, which is a very little, but that's why it's the thing. Like there's restricted free agents. All you have to do is tender them. There's a tag. You know, so there's things that they can mess around and do and move around money, and there'll be more people back than you think. Out of the 40, I can't say that 39 are going to be back, because that's not possible. But there's going to be way more and bigger names that you thought would have probably been that have left, that either want to stay, 1, for the culture, or 2, they're just happy enough to get the money and stay, like, you know, within the team. So I mean, it's again too early to debate, too early to worry about. Again, we don't know what the salary cap is going to be. So if it stays the same because of the Amazon deal, that changes a lot of things.
Yeah, and you know, you don't know. Robbie Gould had a very eventful day. He was also placed on the COVID list. He will not be playing Sunday, which opens the door to Mitch Wishnowsky maybe kicking field goals.
No, it was Tristan Vizcaino from the Vikings.
I read somewhere that Wishnowsky might be available to kick. I don't know.
I mean, he should play linebacker since everybody loves that more than his punts. Oh, sorry, I said it out loud.
I'm a big Mitch Wishnowsky fan. Punters are people too. I really think that was the end of the news for the day, unless I'm missing something. And if I am, it's on Twitter. We will be back Friday. And listen, we're probably going to do about 20 minutes worth of preview. We really don't want to bore you too much with 49ers Seahawks preview, because this game really doesn't mean anything 49ers wise. The Seahawks, I think, can clinch the West. I don't think they have the West clinched, so they're probably going to come out guns blazing.
They're playing for a bye. They need help, but they're going to be playing their guys. So this game means something for them. It'd be pretty hard to knock them off.
Do the Packers not have the bye locked up yet?
I think they do. I mean, probably.
Because you got to remember, there's only one bye this year.
There's one bye. That's right.
There's only one bye. So I think the Seahawks are fighting. So what we're going to do, and hopefully the stream doesn't mess up on us again this time, so we don't have to re-record or anything. We're going to kind of go back to what we did with the Cowboy episode, where we're going to just kind of talk about the 49ers Seahawks rivalry, what it means to us. This for me is more of my rivalry because I am a little, like 2 years younger than you. Just say
Two?
yes. So
Yeah,
just
yeah,
say yes. Yeah, 2 years younger. I'm 28, so Jason's 30.
30.
So yes. See, I got you, Jason.
See, but look, if Packers lose and Seattle wins, Seattle gets the one.
Oh, really? I didn't know that was a possibility.
That's what I
Seattle
thought.
has plenty to play for. The Niners have not much to play for. So we'll talk about it a little bit, but we'll definitely talk about what the rivalry is to us and our favorite moments in the rivalry. Which I have a feeling we both probably have the same favorite rivalry.
I have some. You know what? I'm gonna deep dive a little bit more. Just to try to find. There's a lot. There's like we can just go with the recent ones, but the Sharpie game was in Seattle. Yep. Patrick Willis's pick 6. There's a ton. That's why I said this week is going to be really fun. It's the last week of the season and a Seattle week. We might as well have some fun this week, man, because it's going to be a lot of fighting, a lot of arguing on the timeline for a lot of months. So we might as well have some fun this week. That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, and just to give you guys a heads up too, we're not sure exactly when we're doing it. We're going to take a week off at some point. We don't know when. We're just going to ease our minds. Don't worry about the podcast for, about a week, and then we'll be back. We have some things to talk about too regarding scheduling in the future where we have plans for for off-season shows because we're going to have about a month before anything really happens after the Super Bowl. So we're going to have to create some ideas and figure it out. So we have some fun shows planned for you coming up in the off-season. Jason, any last second thoughts you have before we call it a night?
Nah, man. For as much as I want a quarterback and I want, to move up in the draft pick, that was a cool win, man. And if we can knock off Arizona and then knock Seattle out of getting a bye, whoo, man, this was all worth it, honestly. And the 49ers have a chance to end the season 7-9, and I still can't fully explain how that's even possible with everything all considered.
Coaching.
Kyle Shanahan stands.
Robert Saleh.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh wait, am I not allowed to say coaching's good, or is it, what's our stance on that? What's our stance?
Coaching.
We're pro coaching. We're pro Kyle Shanahan. That's good to know.
Pro coach.
Okay, beautiful. We will see you guys on Friday, hopefully 5:30, possibly. If there's a time adjustment like there was today, we will let you know. But most likely plan for 5:30. Oklahoma's beating Florida 31-13. As a Florida State fan, I'm very happy about that. And as always, Jason Aponte, go 49ers.
Let's go Niners.